I think that I guess maybe wasn't my top spot, but I'd put it one B is like your nutrition. It's just probably it's so important. Like um
Yep.
I think even I don't know, in the last couple of years it's even more obvious to me now. Like training's important for sure. But if you're not if you're not fueling to grow or to, you know, if you're losing weight or something, like it's you're going nowhere.
Welcome to Iron Summit, where we cover topics about health, fitness, and general performance through the eyes of former elite Division I wrestlers.
All right, we're live.
We're live. Good morning.
Good morning.
You nice and spry this morning.
Yeah, you too. How was Hawaii?
Oh, it was awesome. The North Shore of Kauai is one of the coolest places I've ever been,
Dude,
for a lot of reasons.
how many islands have you been to before Kauai?
I've been to 3, Maui a couple times, the Big Island one time, and actually Lanai right off of Maui
Okay.
one time.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were in Maui. Like, your mail has got to be so weird there because you have like your state's Hawaii, and then it's like Maui, and then like an island off of Maui, and then your city, and then you know, like a street address.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like if you're trying to send somebody mail off the coast of one of the islands, and you know, it's such a
Yeah.
weird.
Probably takes a while to
Yeah.
get there.
But even like how you
But
locate it, because it's like which one's which. But yeah, I don't know. I've never.
yeah, it's a cool place though. And you went to Maui and Kauai,
Yeah,
right?
dude, Kauai. I thought Kauai was so much cooler than Maui.
Yeah. Kauai is just like, I mean, I think for me, I agree. It depends what you're looking for. If you want like more of like a retail, like you're trying to go out to fancy dinners and like that kind of stuff, Maui's probably has more to
Mm.
offer. But if you want like pure natural beauty and just like go to the beach, which is what I want, then Kauai is awesome. And then on the north, I just like I really like the North Shore Kauai and just the vibes. It's so
Yeah.
chill. Everyone's like everything closes at like 5 p.m. You can't even like go out to dinner there. It's like 2 restaurants open. It was awesome.
So you're gonna go out there and open up a gym and restaurant?
Heck yeah. I could live on the North Shore of Kauai. I mean, I don't think that's that uh controversial to say.
Yeah.
It's only it's a little price restrictive up north there, but it's
And,
amazing. I
and you
loved
didn't
it.
make the helicopter go down with your weight class?
No, nope, just had to buy 3 seats. But
One for the
and
one
there
for the
was like,
baby.
yeah, the cutoff was
Oh,
2:30 and I was definitely not making that. I've got if any I've got heavier on that trip,
you
not lighter.
didn't want to cut weight to make it.
No, no way. 2:30 would have been 2:40, but maybe. But no, I've been like since I've come back and I can start lifting again, I'm getting like a little more size and I think just like glycogen storage in my upper
Yeah.
body. I'm like solidly sitting between 250 and 260
Nice.
the last like 3
How's
weeks.
how's your pec feeling? I mean, I saw you wrestling out there, and I was thinking that's probably a pretty good test. I know you weren't really wrestling, but you're kind of jerking your arm
Yeah.
around, your chest around. It's like not a safe
Yeah.
movement, so you had to feel pretty secure about it.
Yeah. No, it's been feeling like crazy good. So good that I have to like slow myself down
Nice.
intentionally. But it's been really since I came around corner at like 6 weeks and started light resistance training. I've been working with John, who we had on the podcast, um, to do my PT protocol, and Anthony, who we also had on the podcast, with some peptides and recovery stuff there. It's been like crazy effective. And since week 6, I could start doing some light resistance training combined with the PT really is resistance training in its own way, you know? Um, but it's been feeling so good. I've actually been able to get like solid lifts in with my upper body. They're like, and my coach as well, Coach Adam Miller is such a genius with programming that it doesn't even feel like I'm having to hold back that much. He just programs me so many reps with slow tempo that like you can't do much
Nice.
weight, but you still get like it's challenging. You get a really good pump. So I'm doing like 25 to 15 to 25 reps on everything upper body. And I'm like, I mean, on incline press, I've worked up to like 75-pound
Nice.
dumbbells with my chest now. So it's feeling amazing. I mean, I think it's like, and this is the way it always is. It's like size comes back first and then strength. Like it would be hard to tell which side I had surgery on now from like a muscle mass perspective, but it's definitely, the strength will take a while to come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, you're yeah, I'm doing lightweight, like 75 pounds. You're doing like heavy normal people weight, but you're not you're getting back you're fighting shape.
Yeah, relative. I haven't done any barbell benching or anything like that for
But
sure.
to be fair, like I kind of think the dumbbell bench is probably, I mean, you're getting more of a range of motion. It's probably like you can control it better uh and
Yeah,
everything, but like it's probably you're stretching it more by using, dumbbells.
the dumbbells. Yeah, it's definitely like for what I'm trying to accomplish right now, way better exercise selection. Cause yeah, you get the extra range. You're not locking the shoulder joint in a position. I mean, barbell is what I got hurt on, barbell
Yeah.
bench. So it'll probably be one of the last things I get back to
Yeah.
doing. But I'm enjoying it right now. I'm enjoying the style of training. It's fun. And legs, I've just continued to hammer along the way,
Let's
which is
go.
why I think I'm so heavy because I grew my legs a little bit during while my shoulder and pec was down.
Yeah. That's crazy. So did you find a good gym out in Kauai?
Yeah, there was actually a really good gym. It's called the Kilauea Phys Ed.
Nice.
It was like 20 minutes away from where we stayed, like a little rental house we stayed at, and it was awesome. Had everything you could possibly want. Super clean. It was relatively new. So if anyone's going to North Shore Kauai, check out
Kilauea.
Kilauea
There you
Phys
go.
Ed.
Nice.
It was a sweet gym, actually. I was really pleasantly surprised by that gym.
Did you do some research beforehand or you just kind of like, let's see?
It was like, I mean, we looked up like gyms, and that was really the only
Yeah.
option. Uh, but it happened to be
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Worked out
that's
great.
sweet. So
Yeah.
hold on, one last in terms of your pec, when's the like day where you're like, okay, I should be 100% here or, feel that you can kind of do everything with it again?
Um, like without any thought or restriction at all, probably 6 months post
Okay.
surgery. That's like go load up a heavy barbell and let it
Yeah.
rip. Yeah, like I think I'll be able to, like I'm as you saw, I'm coaching wrestling. Like I even did some like light rolling. They're jujitsu guys, so it's not challenging on the back. That's not to talk trash on jujitsu guys. It's just they're
Oh,
not like
oh,
Division One
clip
wrestlers,
that.
right?
Yeah. We're jujitsu guys, so I can do it with a torn.
He's misquote. He's taking this. He's
Oh,
misquoting me a
we're
little bit.
taking that out of context for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, we'll send it to all the jujitsu guys we know. Um,
That's awesome.
but no, I mean, like I can even like do some light play wrestling and stuff. I think like all out wrestling probably at like 4, 5 months. Like that, I feel like will be sooner than heavy benching.
Yeah. I think one of the things too, like the biggest, and people are starting to talk about it more now, but I don't know. I didn't hear much about it growing up. It's like kind of the mental side of getting over an injury too. Like you got to trust
Yeah,
your body part again. So it's like ramping that up and slowly testing it because I don't know.
for
It's still
sure.
gonna feel a little weird for a long time. I think our bodies heal, but it takes a lot longer than we think because you'll get to a spot where it's like functional and it works well. Um, but I don't know.
Is your ankle feel 100%?
I don't I'm not worried about it. Like when I'm hiking, if I'm wrestling, I don't think about it in that sense. But I'm still like if I'm standing for a long period of time, like I can feel it kind of swollen, a little sore. Um, it doesn't hurt, but I know that something happened there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think they say like the getting to like 90, 95% is the short, like that takes just as long as going from 95 to
Yeah.
100. Like that last 5% is like the slowest phase of healing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yep.
it is. It is kind of weird when we think about like how barbaric surgeries are. Have you ever watched
They are.
like an ACL?
Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like total carpentry. There's no finesse at
No.
all. You're like, yeah, no wonder that hurts the next day. Yeah. Um, yeah, I watched the pec surgeries before
Y
I got
That's
mine,
brave.
for better or for
That's
worse. I
brave.
was like, damn, I was like, I do some work in there. But I also think, and this is what we talked about with John a little bit, and what we're finding out more and more is like post surgery, you need to be returning to some form of
Yeah.
movement. It needs to be planned and well thought out and led by people who know what they're talking about. But you need to be doing movement as soon as you
Yeah.
possibly can. If not, you're leaving healing time on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think, dude, and I don't know. I was talking to somebody recently that got both hips done, and like, I, that's something where, I mean, just as you're starting to like kind of walk again, you get the other hip done because I don't do both at the same time. But I just,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I think,
that
yeah,
was
it really definitely has short term, huge impact. But it seems like the worst of it's behind you with the pec and everything's progressing well. So that's awesome. One
heck
last
yeah.
question, I guess, before we get into everything. I think we talked a little bit with John, but what do you think in terms of like going forward that you're going to do probably differently consistently once you're post 6 months mark, in terms of,
That's a good question.
college and training, whatever.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a meeting with John tomorrow morning to go over kind of strategy going
Nice.
forward, but I will implement some kind of soft tissue specific warm up for all my
Yeah.
lifts. And probably do that not just for my shoulders and chest, but like all major joints before I train them. That'll consist of some type of isometric loading, whether that's like an EQI, the eccentric quasi isometric, which is essentially just an eccentric so slow it becomes an isometric, or some kind of isometric contractions. It'll be some joint articulations, cars. Um, those I think are good for anyone to do. Talked about those with Cam on the podcast with John. You start to have multiple people who know what they're talking about recommend something, you should probably look at it. And yeah, those aren't the only people that have recommended cars to me. So I'll probably continue to do those pre lifts. But and those are interesting because I thought I was doing them before I tore my pec, and then I worked with John, and like they actually take so much attention to detail to do
Mm.
correctly. Um, so I've been doing them right now. You can't just kind of like move your shoulder in a circle. You got to like really like go through the whole range. And then the last thing I'll do is I'll continue to take collagen in some
Mm.
capacity. Definitely not like load it like I was. I know I've heard like 10 to 20 grams pre-workout
Okay.
actually is the best time to
That's
do
what they
it.
told us in college. They were like, if you can take it, I think it was like
Yeah.
30 to 60 minutes before, there's some kind of studies that it might help go into those tendons when you're moving more. Um,
Yep.
so yeah.
Yeah. And I know like we talked actually I think a little bit about this with John, but the data was basically like it was questioning collagen for a long time because they're basically like your body breaks down the amino acids into the forms it needs anyway. So as long as you're getting adequate protein intake, then it's probably fine. But then there's actually been a bunch of studies recently about how collagen has I can't remember, it's the like three amino acids that are really common in soft
Mm.
tissue. So much higher concentration that when you do take collagen, you actually see a noticeable effect. And I think both our experiences with that in real life would kind of match up with where the data is going on
Yeah,
collagen.
I think so too. And it's like you never know what little extra bit helps you not, hurt yourself with something like that. Um, I know a couple people that make their own like bone broth. Have you ever thought about doing that?
I have, well, not me. Alexis has, my wife. I don't think I would have the patience to do it. My mom, I've seen her
Okay.
do it. Have you tried
No,
it?
but I want to. I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, dude, it's so easy. Just like leave it, like a whole chicken and on like, I don't know, a low simmer for like a couple hours. Um, so it
Yep.
seems like it's kind of idiot proof. So I might try it here soon. I feel,
It's pretty
yeah.
easy. I think the only thing, and you don't have to do it, but you just gotta, like, skim the fat off the
Okay.
top after like, you cool it, then you take the fat. Otherwise, I mean, if you want the fat with your collagen, you can leave it in there, but a lot of people don't want the, like, fat content, especially if you're gonna drink it 30 minutes pre-workout,
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
like, a
You
little.
might, I think you strain it too, right? Like you can just strain it.
You can
Yeah.
strain it, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, especially once it's cooled.
yeah. No, that's interesting. I was thinking about
Yeah.
John the other day. I was doing I was squatting and my hips were kind of like, I don't know, my one hip was like a little, just felt a little something and just like going light and kind of staying in some isometrics in that to warm up. I feel like it actually helped us. Like, cause normally I'd just be like, all right, my hip's just going to hurt. Let me just keep doing this.
Yeah. No, it's like I'm a full believer on how well that stuff works
Yeah.
now. My pec and how well I healed. But even like I had like a when I was doing legs 3 times a week, I tweaked my one adductor a little bit.
Hmm.
And John was like, "Yeah, like take a leg press down until you feel it, like where it feels a little tweaky, and then just hold that for like 3 or 4
You stayed in
sets."
the,
I was like,
you just stayed
"Okay."
in the little tweaky.
Yeah. Yeah, the little tweaky. There's an Iron Summit pro tip right there.
Speaking of, um, I think today we got some big news to share coming up soon that we won't talk about just
Yep.
yet. But little precursor, some fun stuff happening here. But
Yeah, big announcement next
big
week.
announcement. A lot of fun stuff in the works. But then I guess Max, what's your we'll talk about some just like best tips you've gotten, I think, through trial and error, especially. I mean, even through this injury, it seems like you've learned a lot. What's yeah,
Yeah,
over the years.
best fitness
Yeah.
advice overall, but I kinda I feel like I've been talking a lot, so you go first. What is the best fitness advice you've ever received?
Um, I don't even know where I heard this, but I think probably one of the biggest things, um, like consistency and like below that is like just don't miss 2 days. Like if you miss a workout or something, just if you just cut it after the first day, um, it's a lot easier to be back on track. And I mean, we
Yep,
talk about this all the time though, just like your adherence to something is way more important than like the most optimal thing. Um,
yep,
so yeah, I think that's probably number one thing. Consistency kills.
yeah. That's a Alexis and I were actually talking about this because we go on vacation and work out the whole time, and, like, even Alexis is 27 weeks pregnant and crushing her workouts, but for us, like, it's hard to imagine not working
Mhm.
out. 'Cause you're like, so I don't know, addicted to it, whatever you wanna say, it helps you feel good. We were talking about it because in the context we actually felt, well, like, after coming back, you get a little jet lagged. We had the day off with travel, and then yesterday we worked out, and both of us felt, like, way
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
So it's like, how could you imagine not doing that? And then we talked like, a lot of people, like, are like, "Could you imagine working out the day
yeah.
you come back from travel?" Right? And I think it's comes down to the fact, like, what you said, Ryan, like, if you're consistent with it, it actually becomes, like, hard to
Mhm.
miss. You don't wanna miss multiple days. But if you and I felt it kinda go this way with my pec surgery, and Alexis, right after I had my pec surgery, got COVID, so we were both just, like, down for
You guys are going through it.
a week
Yeah,
doing nothing. And then after you miss, like, it gets easier. You're like, "Oh, what's another
yeah,
day?" Right? Like, I've already missed a week. Like, what is so I think, yeah, that's really solid advice.
yeah, yeah. I think like that building that habit is such a big deal. And then um, I think that one of the other like underrated things too is like just take the uh, friction out of it. So like um, if you know that it's like really hard for you to get to the gym because your gym's 2 hours away or something, something crazy, like figure out a
Yeah.
way to make that quicker, closer, figure out a way to make it, okay, if I don't have time in the morning or at night, can I get, 45 minutes in during my lunch break at work? Or, figure out a way, maybe buy a rack to put in your garage so you can get 20 minutes when you get home or something. And so, yeah, I think taking friction away kind of on top of that too helps with the consistency. There's a lot of little things you can do with that. Um, yeah, I think that'd be my number one. What about you?
So yours is consistency and removing the
Yep.
friction to allow the consistency to take
Yep.
place. Those are both, I think, super important. The best piece of fitness advice I ever got was from Alan Watkins, who was my trainer, or not. He helped me write a lot of diets for me in college. He trains a lot of professional bodybuilders, UFC fighters. So definitely knows what he's talking about. And he did help me go from 197 to heavyweight. But I remember one of the first times I trained with him. This was when I was like a sophomore in college. Thought I was all strong, and he like humbled me with some like 30-pound dumbbells on chest press by making me do like super slow eccentrics and like lots of reps, and like that hurts. And basically, the point of his torturing me was he was like, "You thought you were strong, but you need to learn to check your ego at the
Yeah,
door."
that's good. Yeah.
And that one was like, check your ego at the door, especially because I think it applies to everything in fitness, even wrestling. But for like strength training specifically, that is like, I think one of the most important things I've ever heard.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think there's so many, I don't know, you get hurt, you're not doing, the right training. I think one of my teammates in college was that way where he's like this huge dude. And then you'd walk in and like he'd be lifting and like beautiful form, full range of motion, but like wasn't lifting as much as most of the guys next to him. And then you realize by the end of the year, it's like when people like actually tried to do like full range of motion the way he was doing it, like he was way stronger than everybody, but he just like didn't care, didn't look side to side, what everyone's doing. Um, yeah, I think that's a great point. I do think one
Yep.
thing about that though, sometimes, sometimes having like your, I don't know, when you're working out with a buddy and having a little bit of not an ego, but,
Oh,
like,
push.
yeah, a push, a willingness to like increase some weight because you're
Yeah.
competing a little bit too, but I don't think that's necessarily
I think,
your, yeah,
yeah. I would caveat check your ego out the door with you still have to push
yeah,
yourself. Like, and I think if you truly are doing it without an ego, then you like can push yourself in the right ways. Um, but you still definitely need to push yourself. So I would just say you push yourself not because you're ego driven, but because you're like progress
yeah,
driven, if that makes
yeah,
sense. And I think here's like with the check your ego at the door, you can apply this to really any aspect of training, but in strength training specifically, what's funny is like the heavier, and it's a combination of two things. It's the range of motion and the weight you use,
hmm,
right? And the reps you do. It's a combination of all those things, but that's what really drives
yeah,
progress. It's like we'll use a squat, for example. It's like doing a squat, but actually doing a full squat with as much weight as you can do a full squat
yeah,
with for as many reps as you
yeah,
can, right? But most people are so ego driven that they cut
yeah,
range out of their squat to do more weight. Now you're sacrificing the results. And the ironic thing about that, and there's a lot of data on this, we've talked about, is the stretch portion of any lift is where you get most of the gains, strength and
yeah.
size. So it's like in lifting, it's such a good example of like ego is literally taking the most important part of each rep out of the rep.
I think it's such a good point. In college, uh, Coach Howe used to talk about that all the time, like the hard way is the easy way. Um, where it's
Yep.
like, it's going to be short term a lot harder to do this correctly, but long term it'll be a lot easier to like put on size, to put on, progressively overload and
Yep.
add weight to your bar. Where like the short term easy, instant gratification fix is like load up the plates and go, half rep it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had this happen a couple times with people I'm helping out with workouts or I'm training where they're like, I'm doing your workouts, your leg work, but like my legs aren't growing at all. I'm like, all right, send me a video of your squat. or your leg press, whatever it is, and they're doing like half reps. Like, well, there's the there's your issue. You try to do too much weight with too little range. So I think it's like, to your point, right? So you got to check your ego, do the full range of motion, but do that
Yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
right? And let that be the limiter for like, what can I do with clean technique for the full range, and then push yourself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's such a great point. Um, One more that I think that I guess maybe wasn't my top spot, but I'd put it one B is like your nutrition's just probably it's so important. Like, um,
Yep.
I think even I don't know, in the last couple of years, it's even more obvious to me now. Like training's important for sure, but if you're not if you're not fueling to grow or to, you know, if you're losing weight or something, like it's you're going nowhere. You're just spinning your circles, like spinning in circles.
Yep. I totally agree. Like, I do think if you wanted to put it in, like, rank it, like, consistency is number one. You just got to be doing something training wise all the time. Doesn't matter how dialed your nutrition is. You're not going to like change your physique or be in great running shape if you're not
Right.
running, right? But like, and consistently doing it. So I think doing like some sort of training consistently is number one. And then nutrition would be number two. And then the kind of training you're doing, number three, because that's how important
Yeah.
nutrition is. It's like, more, you can look really good and be really jacked, even if you're lifting like a total idiot, like, or just like training hard consistently, but not like with any, science or any of that. You can get like 90% of the way there if you have good
Yeah.
nutrition.
Yeah.
I totally
And I
agree.
think that's one of the
But that is not as fun or
right.
sexy.
And I think people like intuitively kind of know that and say that, but they don't realize like it's one of the toughest things because it's like it's a 24-hour a day job. You know, that's not your 1 hour. Like it's easy to go put an hour and a half into a
In the
workout, you
gym.
know?
That's the fun.
Yeah. But then like the rest of the time you're awake and, you know, figuring out your nutrition and making sure everything's dialed that way. Like that's the tough part. And I think that's one of the things I like about wrestling is I feel like it taught me that because you don't get to compete. Like you're just not going to wrestle if you don't have this locked in because you're going to miss weight and you're just not like your number one opponent is like getting
It
on weight.
forces that discipline on
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think a couple points on the nutrition. One is, yeah, and it's all day and it's not instant
Yeah.
gratification,
Yeah.
right? Like, you got to be doing it right for a while to really see the
Hmm.
returns. And two is, it's oh man, I just lost my train of thought here. It was instant gratification. Oh, and no, your point on consistency, like, it's maybe as important, if not more important, with
Yep.
nutrition than with training. And also, like you said, if you miss 2 days, like, you start to miss 2 days in a week of being on point, then it's really easy to be like, just let it slide with nutrition. Whereas, like, if you're consistently, I'm not saying like 100% dialed in on point, because that gets really tiresome. But you're like 90-10,
Yeah.
just consistently. Then it gets, guess what? After that, for 6 months, you don't want to eat shitty,
Yeah.
right? You feel it, which is like, we've talked about that too. It's the microchip,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Pat,
back to
Pat,
dust and the microchip doesn't work.
Pat
Yeah.
loves that stuff. Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, you remember, I mean, cutting weight in high school, yeah, everybody did it wrong, right? I'm sure you have some horror stories,
Oh
but it'd be
yeah.
like would just like not eat, run, and make sure that you make weight, and then after get like a greasy like bacon cheeseburger and fries, and like you're like, why
Yep.
does my stomach hurt so bad? It's like, well,
Well, that
it's
makes sense.
but yeah.
That'd be the 70 grams of fat you just ate on a depleted
And your
system.
stomach was shrunk to like, you know, a size of a walnut, and you
Yep.
just put in 2 pounds of food, and yeah. So I don't know. I think you like everybody recognizes this. They know how it feels. They know, but like to actually do it and to get over. And by the way, it's also tough. Like, I mean, we are a lot smarter with engineering food now where it's like literally addictive. So you got to like really
Yeah.
make the right choices at the right times and, stick to those, have some conviction in that. But I think that's part of consistency too. You know, those kind of go together.
Yeah. And this isn't it because like I feel you and I are probably on the side where this is something, and maybe it is wrestling taught us that discipline or taught us the relationship of like do do this, get this
Yeah.
result with nutrition. But I have noticed like working with a lot of different people, helping different people with their diets, like it is easier. And I don't know if this is nature or nurture or how you ate growing up or what plays into this. And I have like all kinds of theories, but I have noticed it is way easier for some people to stick to a diet than
Yeah.
others or be consistent with their nutrition, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Do you have any
I,
thoughts?
I,
Because I
yeah,
don't know.
I kind of think it's maybe how you grew up and then what you place importance on, because like you said, like you could be dialed in for a month and it might be really, really slow progress where, like, or you could eat that ice cream right now and feel great. like,
Right.
but I think it's an interesting point. I think, I don't know. I think part of it.
I don't, I just looked up a quote with relation to
Okay.
that, Ryan, because I remember it's Tony
Yeah.
Robbins, Tony
Yeah.
Robbins,
Yeah.
like
Motivational speaker.
the, yeah. He says change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of
There you go.
change.
That's a good one. Dude,
But I feel like a pain threshold is different for different people. Like I've never like had pain with being overweight or anything. I've just always been motivated. And I also like, and I'd be curious to hear about your upbringing. My mom was like borderline psycho with being healthy growing up. They like would make fun of me, call me organo boy in middle school. Like, like, so like, but then I'd never have been tempted by sweets or like had that. Maybe it's like a dopamine relationship with food. Like I was just like never allowed to even start
that's
that.
funny. Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. The other thing that I think plays a big part is, how much somebody's like thinking about it. 'Cause I think most people try to like just drop calories instantly. And even, I mean, thinking about wrestling too, like when you're cutting weight, everything seems good. And you're like, feel
Oh yeah.
tired, even when you're probably not as tired as what you're feeling. And then the second you're not cutting weight, like you're like, oh, I'm full, I'm good. I don't need to eat anything else. So I think your mind, like the mindset you put it in via like, hey, I'm trying to lose weight right now, or hey, I'm not, can really affect how much your body's like telling you to eat more or not, which is kind of crazy because it can be the same amount of food. But it's such a different mindset when you go from trying to gain weight to trying to lose weight. And like
Oh yeah.
after wrestling season, you get like a week or two of just like eating whatever. And,
Whatever.
but then it
Yeah.
levels out and you're like, this isn't that interesting to me anymore. It was just interesting because I thought I was restricting on it for a long time.
Yeah. That makes sense. Were you did you eat really healthy growing
Yeah,
up?
I think
Like were your parents
my parents were definitely like push that stuff. Not, I don't think I was organo boy. Like, yes.
oh,
But I think learned more about it too as I got to, um,
higher
yeah,
levels
of
and
wrestling, where it's like I kind of had to, like, there were some nights where, if my family's having pizza or something, I'd have to make sure I'd have to go for a run and make weight. Like I wasn't, but,
yeah.
yeah, I think it was definitely like there was an importance on it. And then in like eighth grade, dude, I think I was 99 pounds going into freshman year of football, summer ball, going into high school. And I was like, I got to get up to 106. And so I was like, oh, I just have to like stuff my face and eat a bunch of food. And so I think that kind of pushed me to learn a lot about that stuff too. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I think growing up, I had a good foundation for sure.
Yeah. I do think that plays a big role in how easy it is for someone to be consistent on nutrition. But I've seen mixed like because this is a topic that's super interesting to me, like why certain people have more desire to like eat crappy food and
Yeah.
sweets and other people just don't. And it doesn't always like it's not like a lot, it doesn't always seem like you would think it would. Like I've seen some of the best athletes in the world be like really struggle with keeping their nutrition in check. And I'm sure you've seen some of your best
Yeah.
teammates like they just like it was really hard for them not to eat the crappy food. And then other people it's just like, and I'm probably on this side of things, like it's just not that tempting
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And is it nature? Is it nurture? Why? Why does it happen?
I think, yeah, yeah, it's a good point. I think everybody's got different pulls and draws that way. But it is true. I think part of that, like, that's a good plug for, like, that's a good reason to have a coach, like that accountability and kind of the pain factor of like you're investing some resources into, somebody helping you do this. It's like you take it a little bit more seriously than like you're letting, some
Absolutely.
people down, and you're letting, you're actually invested in this versus just like, I'm going to try to do this. But I do think that's a good point, especially with fitness stuff. Everybody needs different things. Like somebody might need a push in the gym. Somebody might need a push in, you know, nutrition.
Nutrition,
And,
yeah.
and I had a really good buddy growing up, and he was like, he ate super clean, super like super big weightlifter, and like pretty jacked, dude. He was like a 125 pounder. He weighs probably 190 now, like, and like lean. But he's like, I don't have any discipline. I just have discipline in the grocery store. Like I just don't buy the stuff. I'm like, it's a pretty good strategy. Like if you're gonna
That's
be
a
tempted,
Oh, that's the way.
like
Yeah,
don't buy it.
that is discipline, and I like his quote, but that is discipline in and of itself,
But
right?
he's like, but he
Like,
was like, listen, I will eat the whole bag of chips if I buy this bag of chips. I'm gonna eat this whole tub of ice cream if I buy it. So I just don't buy it.
I know, so
I'm
just
like,
don't
that's
buy it,
good.
but not buying it is discipline. That is discipline.
When they
Like, knowing that. I do think that's like, talk about great fitness advice, that is a really good, like, there's a direct correlation between what's in your pantry and how
What
clean you eat. Like,
100%.
doesn't matter if you're like, "I'm just gonna get this and only ever," if even if it's only occasionally is more, and then that creeps up, then if you don't have it, you're not gonna
Yeah.
eat it.
Yeah. No, I think the one thing that throws a wrench in that a little bit is you start, having a spouse, having some kids, it's like there's probably gonna be some extra stuff. And then you're like, you hopefully you have that foundation where you can say no.
No, you gotta get the whole family on board, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna That's what we're gonna do over here.
Are you're gonna knock away the
Um,
chicken nuggets?
no way, yeah. No chicken nuggets, beef and rice.
Have you thought about names?
Yeah, yeah, we're pretty, set on a name.
Okay. Are you like, you don't wanna share that, or that was a little weird answer?
No, I'll
Yeah, you
share
don't
it.
have to, Max. You don't
Um,
have to.
no, we've told a bunch of
Okay.
people. We're thinking, Reese
Nice.
as a
Nice.
girl.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. How'd you
Yeah,
pick that?
so, I don't Alexis just came up with it,
You just
and we both were like, "I like that
just
name."
thought it up and wrote it down?
Well, like, she has all the creative rights on this. I just have veto power. Like,
You just have to not
I
hate
don't
it.
come up with the names, I just say yes or no. Yeah, and, she had a whole list of names for boy and girl, but that's kinda the one we've landed
Nice.
on.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yep,
coming up.
yep, but so Reese won't be eating any chicken nuggets.
No? Just beef and rice?
No, I'm just kidding. It's not like that, but I do think we will, in all seriousness, we will, and Alexis and I have talked about it, try and probably instill really good food
Yeah.
habits and disciplines from a young age. Not restrictive, because that's dangerous too if you start, like, playing this good food, bad food
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Um, it can, like, lead to actually wanting to eat more bad food and feeling shameful when you do eat bad food, which, like, that's not the point
Yeah.
of it. But I do think the healthier and cleaner you overall feed a kid, and teach them the benefits of that, the better their relationship with food is gonna be for life. Because I do think, and there is science on this, like, the more you get a dopamine relationship with food, the harder it is to wanna eat clean, because you start going to the yummy foods for that hit of
Yeah.
dopamine.
No, I think that's a good point. I know I've heard this. I have 0 experience, obviously. But like, like one of the best things you can do
Yeah.
is give options and not like restrictions. But so like they get the autonomy of it, but it's like you give them like 3 or 4 good options. Like, what do you want to eat, instead of being like, you
Yep.
can't eat this. But I don't know, Max, you're gonna be our guinea pig.
Yep. We'll find out. I'm sure it's not gonna be easy or straightforward. It'll be a lot of trial and
I
error,
like
but
everything though. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like your baby's gonna come out with like a six pack, dude. I saw Alexis squatting the other day. I'm like, dude, she is like, she's a beast. That's awesome.
Yep. And then you get like go to like epigenetics, and even like in the womb, there's actually a study that just came out um like 2 months ago that like what the mom
Yeah.
eats while pregnant with the child determines the palate of the
Wow,
child.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah,
Like
that's crazy.
so maybe it starts like if your mom made a bunch of sweets while she was pregnant, like that could set you up to have a predisposition to liking sweets your entire life.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'd I'll look up the study. Maybe we can post it in the
Yeah,
bio, but I'll send it to you
yeah,
after this, Ryan. It's interesting, and this was like a big study, and I think they had like theorized this, but they actually have a lot of empirical evidence now that that is the
yeah, dude,
case.
it's crazy. It's like there's a lot of people that I don't know. Stuff seems to make intuitive sense, but the science kind of lags behind. Um,
Yep.
there's one other thing, Max, that I want to ask you about with this that I saw a study on. um, how are
What
you
is
going to
it?
counteract? There's something like, dude, once you have a kid, your testosterone levels drop.
Oh, I think mine will go up because I'm having a girl, so I'm gonna be all aggressive and protective.
No, I gotta find this study, but it's
Um,
like it's a
oh
real
yes,
thing
I could see
because I
that.
think once you
I can see it.
like, I don't know, you're supposed to be more nurturing. I don't know. I'll find the study too. I'll send it to you. But
Well, my testosterone levels are pretty meager to begin with, so maybe they won't drop much. We'll see. Actually, my tests are as good as I uh, I just did. I just did blood work, and my testosterone is as high as it's ever
let's
been.
go.
So we'll see. Which it's not like amazing. It was like 550,
But
which is like pretty middle of the road. But for me, that's really good.
but like, do you think
So
that has to do with um also probably a little bit more recovery, a little bit more relaxed? Like, did you do that before Hawaii, after sitting on the beach for 10 days?
it was before
Okay,
Hawaii. I wonder what it is after. Yeah, it was before that. But I've had like a couple tests come in above 500. Usually I'm in like 3 to 400 range, which is pretty
gotcha.
bad. But the couple over 500, I think it's more I'm being intentional with my supplementation. And then I make sure I take like 2 days off before a blood test. Speaking of, let's get you a blood test
Yeah,
and see
honestly, I've never
where
I
everything
mean, I
comes in.
always did like full panel stuff, but I haven't really done a lot of like testosterone blood tests, stuff like that. Yeah. Lo- let's-
Yeah, we got to get it done. I'd love to see uh, all of those things. And then you gotta really to benefit from blood testing, you gotta be doing it every, like, 3 to 6
right. You got to
months
have like that.
because it is, like, a complete
Right.
picture, right? Like, it's just a
Yeah. You
snapshot.
need the trends, right?
So you gotta learn.
Yeah.
Yep, learn where everything
But
is.
you take 2 days off right before them just to make sure that you get a good reading or,
That way yeah, and then do that every time. It's a little bit like checking your weight first thing in the morning after the
mm,
bathroom, right? It's like because depending like, if you train really hard, it'll decrease all your, sex hormone
yeah.
levels. So the 2 days off before each blood test kinda makes, like here's, like, your a realistic view of where you are because you could probably crush legs and then go in and test really low for
Yeah.
testosterone, but that's not because you have really low testosterone, that's because you crushed legs,
Do you
right?
sleep? Yeah. Do you sleep worse the night before knowing that you're trying to get good sleep for this test? You know what I'm
No,
saying though?
I don't think
Like,
of it. Would that happen to
I
you?
don't think so,
Would
but
you be
have you ever
like,
been like, "Oh, I gotta get up early," so you're like, you just can't sleep throughout
"No,"
the
but
night?
now I'm probably now it's gonna happen to me. Thanks,
Hey,
Ryan. No,
yeah.
I'm you do have to do it fasting.
Okay.
That's another thing. So it's 2 days off and then fasting in the
Mm.
morning
Yeah, it is crazy.
for the hormone
It's
stuff.
crazy how much that affects that. I remember even in, like, high school, I didn't know I was getting a blood test. I was just going for, like, a physical or something, and, definitely some of the markers were weird because I ate lunch and then walked right in, like, 30 minutes later, and then they called me and they're like, these aren't like, these are a little weird for your age." And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Did
Why do you have,
you"
like, super high blood
She's
sugar?
like, "Did you eat before?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you weren't supposed to." I'm like, "Well, nobody told me. I'm yeah, 16."
Yeah.
Like, uh,
I eat lunch at 16. Yeah,
so
no way. That's why you gotta do it in the
yeah,
morning, because then it's not as bad to fast.
no,
But
Absolutely.
yeah, we got to get you done. But to increase my testosterone, I've been taking high dose vitamin D and
Okay.
K2, D3 and K2, which I've heard
What do you
is
high
really
dose,
good. I
how many IUs are you taking
think
a day?
15,000.
Okay.
Yeah, so 5,000
So
IU.
I don't know if this is true or not, but we were taking,
I think
they,
that's right.
they
Let me look.
started giving us,
I'll look up what I'm.
they started giving us that there was something in college where it was like, if you could get 35,000 over the course of a week was good. Especially if you're an
Yep.
indoor sport. But I think some people I like respond to that really well. And some people like don't really need it. It's just kind of weird.
Yep. 12,000 IU
Okay.
a day.
Okay.
I just looked up the one I'm taking.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, that makes sense. I think, and then what I've heard is like if you want to try and increase your testosterone, just basically like mega dose it,
Oh,
which is kind of what I'm
wow.
doing. It just that's helpful. And then the other thing I take is DHEA, which I think I take 15
Okay.
milligrams every day. That sounds right. I have to look that up, double check that. Because that's just a precursor to testosterone, and that I've actually found is like the most simple and effective
Mm.
way to increase your total test because you're just basically giving your body more ammo to make tests
Yeah.
with.
What about what's the ratio K2 to vitamin D that you're taking?
So I take we're not sponsored, pure
Okay.
encapsulations. I just like
Yeah.
that brand. So that one it's 100 micrograms of D3 and 100 micrograms of K2.
Okay.
100 micrograms of D is 4,000
Okay.
IUs.
Gotcha. So it's like a,
So it's one to
yeah,
one, I
1 to 1.
guess.
That's crazy. I
Yep.
also,
I, that brand is good. So I just went with their
do you, st-
D3
do
and
you still take
K2.
that if you're like outside a lot? Cause I always heard like, if you're going to be outside a lot, just stop taking it.
Yeah, it's much more efficient to get your vitamin D too. So like when I was in Hawaii, no, I didn't take it, but I also like didn't take most of my because I like to use vacations because they say even with supplements you should cycle off for a couple weeks every couple months
Hmm.
or so. Even like fish
Hmm.
oils, like just like take a break, let your body resensitize. So I usually use vacations as like a week or two to desensitize. So I know I wasn't taking my D3 and K2, but I also wasn't taking like anything
Yeah.
else. So
No, it's smart. I think it's good. All right.
yep.
I guess Max, you got
What about
one more.
yeah, I'd be curious. Let's get Ryan. Let's get Ryan's blood work done and
Let's do it.
see where his testosterone's
Dude, I feel
at,
like
and then
I
see
mean,
how we can bump it with some supplement.
I'm either going to be, I feel like there's going to be no middle range. I'm either going to be really high or really low.
Um, I don't know. I don't know where I'd. It's hard to guess. And then there's so many other like, what's your free test? How efficiently is your body converting? All that kind of stuff. Like, there's so many things besides total test to look
Yeah.
at.
No, it makes sense. I didn't even think about the 2 days off too before it because like you said, you're trying to get like an accurate picture and make some kind of consistency around how you get it drawn every time you get
Yeah.
your blood drawn. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to check it out. Maybe we'll go over that.
All right. We'll get it set up.
Let's do it.
It's easy to
Yeah.
do. Go into any lab quest or uh what's some LabCorp or
Okay,
Quest.
cool.
So easy. All right. Well, that's the homework. I'll send you the study about like pregnancy and food and
Okay.
pallets.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the testosterone one.
Yeah. Let's see it.
Yeah. But
I want the hard science on that.
awesome. All right. Well, I think that about does it for some tips. Yeah, what's the consistency, um, nutrients, check your ego.
Consistency, nutrition, check your
And
ego.
then
Yep.
we went on and off tangent on some other stuff. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, we're excited for some stuff coming next week.
Heck yeah.
Boom.